Hello, my name is Mrs. B. Gonzalez, and welcome back to the STAAR History Blitz. In today's session, it's all about Washington, our first president of the United States of America. Here are some key points that we'll be going over within this video lesson. So Washington becomes our first president of the United States. Now, where does that word president come from? He actually said, call me president, because the term precedent with a C means doing something for the first time and setting the example. And so he said, don't call me your highness or your majesty, which some people wanted to. He said, call me president, because I'm going to be setting the example for future leaders of America. And so that's what he did. So George Washington becomes our first president, and he establishes a lot of precedents, a lot of things that our president today still does because of him. As he started his term in office, one of the things he realized is that there was too much for him to do all by himself. So he created a group of advisors that would help him run the country and make decisions. This became known as a cabinet. Two of his main cabinet members are Alexander Hamilton, who became Secretary of Treasury. That means he dealt with money. And Thomas Jefferson, Secretary of State. That means he dealt with foreign affairs. What are some of the domestic issues that Washington faced as president? Now, the word domestic means in the United States. The first issue he had was the large debt that America had acquired from fighting the American Revolution. Again, remember, war is expensive and it increases our national debt. So as Washington comes in, the very first problem he's faced with is we owe money to all these foreign countries and we're not making enough money in our country. And so because Alexander Hamilton is Secretary of Treasury, he is in charge. He is tasked with coming up with a plan. And he has a 4-part plan. His very first part of his plan is assume state debts. The national government should pay off the debts that both the states and our previous national government had in order to establish the nation's credit. The second thing, he said, we need to establish a national bank. Everybody has different money. We need to all have common currency. And we need a place where we can deposit our money and then we can make loans to our government to start paying off our debts. The other thing he said was we need to start bringing in money. And so we need to tax our country. And the very first tax was the whiskey tax. Hamilton proposed a tax on whiskey to raise money from Western farmers. So why are farmers getting taxed if it's a tax on whiskey? Well, whiskey is made out of corn and farmers grow corn. So that's why. And finally, the protective tariff. He said a lot of our American money is going to foreign countries because they're buying manufactured goods from them. And he said, we need to find a way so that they don't buy from them and they buy from the United States and the money is circulating. And so he decided to put a tax on those foreign goods, like that people won't buy from them, they'll buy from the United States of America. Now, one of the problems that happened because of Hamilton's financial plan is that the South kept feeling like, hey, you are trying to get the nation out of debt from our backs. We already paid our debts. We don't want to put our money in a bank in the North. You're putting taxes on us farmers from the South, and we're the ones who buy foreign goods. So now we're going to have to pay more money for the ones we have to buy here. And so all of this led to a rebellion, specifically the Whiskey Rebellion. Western Pennsylvania farmers rebelled, but Washington was now able to stop that rebellion. It wasn't like Shays' Rebellion. Now we have a president and we have an army, and we were able to stop this rebellion. This was actually the first test of our authority in the United States of America. One of the things that started happening, unfortunately, within Washington's presidency is political parties because of the disagreements that these cabinet members had. Thomas Jefferson disagreed with Alexander Hamilton. And let me tell you why. First of all, they're opposites. Jefferson is from the South, Hamilton is from the North. Right? So they created their own little gangs in government Thomas Jefferson created the Democratic Republicans. Alexander Hamilton created the Federalists. So what did they disagree on? They disagreed on whether we should have a bank, who should have the power in government, how we should make money. So let me give you some examples. First of all, Thomas Jefferson, primarily Southerners, supported him. They were all about states' rights. So they wanted the power at the state level. These are farmers and former anti-federalists. These are plantation owners. They were against a national bank. While Hamilton and all his followers were primarily from the North. They favored a strong federal government. They're federalist. They were merchants, that's like business owners and manufacturers, industries and factories. And they were like, yes, we need a national bank. It's going to help create a stable economy. This is how political parties emerged in the United States because of result of the disagreements between these two cabinet members. One of the foreign issues that Washington did have was this issue that was going on between France and Britain. France and Britain are at war, and they actually want us to choose a side. We have been trading with France and Britain, and they're getting upset at us for trading with their enemy, and they want us to choose a side. And basically, Washington has to make a foreign policy, a law that has to do when dealing with other countries. And his policy is neutrality. He issues the neutrality proclamation saying, look, we're not going to be choosing sides. We're going to continue trading, but we're not going to choose sides. That became the neutrality proclamation. Now it's finally time for Washington to say goodbye, farewell. Not because he's getting pushed out, not because there's a rule that says he needs to leave, but because he decided to set the precedents. He decided to say, you know what? After 2 terms, which is a total of 8 years, he said, it's time for me to leave and I need to give someone else a chance to rule the nation. And so in his farewell address, his goodbye speech, he decides to say 3 things. No PDA. Let's not have political parties. This is his advice because political parties distract the country, divide our nation. Let's have no foreign alliances. We cannot be choosing sides. We need to stay neutral. And no D, right? No PD. Let's have no debt. Debt is not good to have in our country because then we have to come up with ways to get ourselves out of that debt. So again, Washington does his farewell address that becomes something that future presidents do. Let's look at a quick quote from his farewell address. The great rule of conduct for us in regards to foreign nations is in extending our commercial relations to have with them as little political connection as possible. So far as we have already formed engagements, let them be fulfilled with perfect good faith. Here, let us stop. So what he's saying here is let's not make political alliances. Let's continue trading with the foreign countries, but just commercially. But let's not make those alliances with foreign countries. This concludes our video session on Washington's presidency. My name is Mrs. B. Gonzalez. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.